So, what happens when years and years of government enforcement actions might be built on a foundation of, well, legal quicksand? Today, we're diving into a case that asks that exact question. It's a high-stakes standoff that could totally redefine the limits of state power.
You know, that's not just some fancy metaphor. It's literally the situation a court is facing right this second. Holding the blueprints to its own past, trying to figure out if the entire structure it helped build is about to come crashing down. And this isn't hypothetical. It's a real legal fight, and it's currently stuck in this critical moment of truth, what you could call the ultimate find-out period. Everything now hangs on a single decision. Will the court double down on its past actions, or will it admit that maybe, just maybe, the foundation was flawed from the get-go? All right, let's unpack the argument that could bring it all down.
The whole conflict really comes down to one single, really powerful legal argument that challenges the legitimacy of a court order right from its very beginning. So at the center of it all is something called a motion for reconsideration. The petitioner is basically saying the court made a huge mistake. The court claimed he never offered a legal basis for his challenge, but he's insisting that he absolutely did, and that this one single oversight could be the loose thread that unravels everything. Now, the specific legal tool being used here is what makes this so wild. It's not like a standard key. Think of it more like a master key, one that can bypass all the usual deadlines and locks you find in the legal system. This rule, CRCP 60b-4, is the absolute pillar of the whole challenge. The petitioner's motion pointed right to it, arguing that certain orders weren't just wrong, they were legally null and void from the second they were issued. And this is what makes a void judgment challenge so incredibly potent. You see, standard appeals, they have really tight deadlines. This thing doesn't. A normal appeal basically says, hey, the judge made a mistake. This challenge says the judge never even had the right to be making a decision in the first place. It goes after their fundamental authority. Now, this whole challenge isn't just based on some abstract legal theory. The petitioner points to what they're calling a trail of direct, written admissions from state officials. Evidence they claim proves the entire system's foundation is a house of cards. Okay, take this statement from a South Dakota official. It's being presented as a crucial admission. The argument is that states can't just informally share information to get enforcement done. There are really strict legal protocols for these interstate cases, and this, the motion claims, is an admission of sidestepping them completely. And then there's this one. The petitioner is highlighting a massive contradiction here. An official admits in writing that her agency has no jurisdiction, while that very same agency was allegedly taking direct enforcement action in another state. And then we have this statement from a Colorado manager, which the motion pretty much labels a flat-out false representation. It claims that while the manager denied any credit reporting was happening, the petitioner's credit reports showed the exact opposite. Allegedly, a move to hide the fact that two states were unlawfully enforcing at the very same time. So when you piece it all together, the argument is that these admissions prove a pattern of systemic failure. We're talking total chaos over which state even had authority, violations of the big federal law governing these cases, and even really serious allegations of fraud, bad faith, and just deliberate indifference. But you know, this legal fight isn't just about abstract rules and procedures. The motion lays out some devastating, real-world consequences that it alleges are a direct result of these systemic screw-ups. The financial ruin from these enforcement actions, which, remember, the petitioner argues were unlawful from the start, allegedly led to him experiencing 527 days of homelessness. And the filing points out this incredibly tragic irony. The very system that's designed to support a child allegedly left her homeless on her 19th birthday, the exact day she legally became an adult and aged out of its care. On top of that, the motion also claims that administrators overrode a unanimous clinical recommendation from a medical team, and the reason they gave, an administrative rule that required the father to maintain a home. A home, the motion points out, that he'd already lost because of the very enforcement actions they were defending. And that brings us to today. The whole conflict is just suspended, waiting for the court to rule on that motion for reconsideration. This is it. This is the moment the court is holding the blueprints and has to decide if it's standing on solid ground or quicksand. So the court's decision really leads down one of two paths. If it denies the motion, business as usual. The structure stands. But if it grants the motion, it's basically admitting the foundation is quicksand, and that would trigger a full-blown review of the case and could lead to years of enforcement just being wiped off the books. This whole case brings up a fundamental, almost philosophical question. And until the court rules, or until a reported FBI review concludes, this high-stakes conflict is just paused in that find-out period. It leaves us all wondering, if a judgment is void from the very start, was it ever really there at all?